So, boys, before we actually start gaming, I really wanted to check out this video from Bellier. Apparently, it's about WoW leadership that has been lying to us constantly, and for some reason, he only now decided to make a video about it. You know, I love Bellier, but honestly, it feels so weird that sometimes he's on Blizzard's side 100%, and the next, he's just tearing them apart. So I'm just really confused here. But let's watch the video and see what he has to say first.
Well, I hope you're ready for a good time, because this video is sure going to be something. Okay, I'm going to start us off with a bit of a quote to set the tone. Here it is. We've had regular 8-week content updates all along the way. No corners cut, no compromises in terms of what we're delivering, and no sacrifices to quality.
Of course.
Now, those are the words of Ian Hazacostas, game director, World of Warcraft. He was speaking with The Games Business about 3 months ago. And of course, by the time he said those words, well, I mean, we've been sounding the alarm about World of Warcraft.
Man, Ian looks like he need a rescue. Like, this man, he's on something. Like, this man needs to be saved. You can clearly tell she's like holding him hostage or something, but it's so unfortunate. Every time I watch an interview from him, he has 3 hairs less. So I'm pretty sure by the time he goes completely bald, Blizzard is cooked, or I don't know, like WoW is going to be the greatest game ever.
It's day 1 patch quality for years now. So when that was said 3 months ago, it sounded completely unhinged. It just did not match up with the actual game experience. But more importantly, with that quote in mind, well, tell me, Ian, if you're not sacrificing quality, then what exactly is 12.0.5? Because this is being called one of the worst patches of all time. And that really is sad, because on paper...
Wait, we don't count the Warlords of Draenor selfie patch? I mean, hey, that's a pretty good contender, you gotta admit.
This patch should be great. It actually is great on paper. It has a stack of fantastic features that I think are welcome injections to Midnight. But instead, for many people, it's been a downgrade. And no matter how bad you think it is, I actually promise you it is worse. Because this isn't one-off, this is a pattern, and it's been a pattern since Dragonflight.
Yes.
Now, the good news is that this is actually...
You see, at least Blizzard is consistent. I've always told you guys, like, Blizzard is really good. Like, they excels at evolving just backwards. I mean, they do what they must. It's good. I mean, they're totally not a reprehensible company. The Bellular cycle, suck up to Blizzard, defend them, call new feature the best thing to happen to World of Warcraft, neutral, say did a mistake, say Blizzard is awful, repeat. Exactly. Exactly. And you know what's funny? That's the cycle of YouTube slop. And this is why we're in the slop era right now. It is what it is, man. He's playing the game.
Actually so bad that
I can
Blizzard
at least
are
respect the hustle.
genuinely and visibly rattled. They've actually responded to things, and I'll get to that later in this video. But for a taste, here's just some of what's been going wrong with this patch. The new Keystone Myth achievement added in this patch was immediately disabled. Picking up a mirror in Shadow Enclave breaks strafing until you relog. Lura's final phase was quite literally impossible. The new Void Core bonus rolls shipped without the absolutely vital anti-dupe protection working. Housing was turned off in North America because of a critical bug. Unholy DK got buffs that actually were massive nerfs because, well, their talents are now bugged. Demonology's talents are bugged, and Devourer's talents aren't bugged, but it got buffs, even though it's already at the top of, like, the meta DPS pack.
Do you guys believe me now whenever I tell you that Blizzard employees just vibe coding? I mean, can we all agree to this right now? I mean, enough. Enough. It's one thing to actually lay off your entire Q&A team, but it's a completely different thing whenever you just vibe code and stuff. Like, this is cringe. Bro, it's not even an oversight. If talent trees aren't working, you are not able to play the game properly. I mean, there are small bugs and things that happens within a game that are negligible, right? You don't have to fix every bug in a game. It's literally impossible. But when it's so game-breaking, it literally interrupts the flow of you playing and enjoying World of Warcraft. How isn't anyone on this? And why Blizzard fixes are always like, oh, I go to the doctor and my arm hurts, and then the doctor just chops off your arm. Like, every single Blizzard solution is like this. Oh, this feature has a bug in it. Okay, great, disable the entire feature. What? Like, what is that? They're so incompetent. I'm truly just unaware to how many incompetent people are working in Blizzard. I really need to see the numbers to understand. That's insane. Well, they fired all the competent people and replaced them with HR Karens. Absolutely. Absolutely. You know, you're so right. Instead of making the game good, we can have another Dark Spear Rainbow Dash event. That's awesome. I like that.
Pretty weird. Then, Marksmanship Hunter's rework is causing a bit of furor in the forums because it feels worse to play. PvPers are being disconnected and even crashing during matches. And when housing was finally re-enabled, players were finding their floors changing randomly. And then there's a little fun thing of the hide art bar option disabling itself sometimes, so you'll just get randomly griffins on your UI. A little bit weird. But then there's also the new Decor Jewel, which was actually made completely pointless because track humanoids works inside it. Kind of insane. But it gets worse because even if there isn't a hunter in your group, staying still for too long, in, by the way, a game of hide and seek, flags you as being AFK and disqualifies you. Then there's Void Assaults, one of the major parts of this patch. They weren't working properly, and barely anyone...
Like, I don't know why I'm even surprised at this point. I mean, this is something that I would expect from not even a junior or like an entry-level employee at such a big company to do. I don't know what to say. Honestly, don't. It's just sad, man. It's pathetic.
Even noticed. Seriously.
Yeah, like, even Bethesda wouldn't let this slide. And yes, I said it.
You may not even know this. They're supposed to come in two parts. The strikes, which are the small ones, and then the incursions, which are the big one that builds up and happens later. But for at least a day, maybe longer, the incursion part just wasn't showing up at all. There's wild stuff happening, and there almost seems to be no logic to it whatsoever. It's a baffling, busted patch, and it's also a bit of a dangerous one.
Yeah, there is a logic. Blizzard is just garbage company.
Where we're headed is death by 1,000 cuts. And you know what? We personally felt it this week. You see, our raid night was on Thursday. Now, that's normally good because, hey, North America servers, you know, they get their patch a bit earlier. And that means that you guys in NA are our beta testers.
Yes, we get to suffer longer, dude. Let's go. That's crazy. Imagine. It's so crazy. I mean, shout out to the Americans for actually standing in the front lines and soaking up all the garbage before us. I mean, wow, respect. Nothing but respect.
Didn't really work for us this time, though, did it? Because, man, it was a buggy raid. Our Unholy DK had to swap to Frost because the bugs made him do less damage than our tanks. Then, during Dragons, half the raid had Lua errors spam their screen during the intermission. I was one of them. It really wasn't fun. And our raid frames were actually covered by having multiple copies of the same mechanic. Then, on our Lura progression, more Lua errors happened mid-fight. Specifically, they happened in the bit where you are dropping the light crystals in the intermission phase. So very much not the time that you want most of your visible screen area being a Lua error. And it turns out that this is basically because of how Blizzard changed private auras.
Too bad.
Yeah, it wasn't all caused by add-ons. Now, bugs aren't the only problem. There's also the lack of an obvious lead-in to the new Voidforge system, and that meant that few of our guildies had any bonus rolls ready. Not that, of course, we would have used them anyway, because Blizzard's hotfix was immediately reported as being broken as well. Now, thankfully, the bug that made Lura unkillable was actually fixed. We managed to get ahead of the curve. And you know what? It was kind of funny. I think we all had a great raid night, but you know what? That's the kind of funny that is only funny once. It was close to disaster. I mean, if we had both of our Unholy players, we'd, I don't know, have to bench them to keep playing? That doesn't feel good. If either of our healers were getting those Lua errors or were impacted by bugs, then we would have been hard stuck. Our healers were mad enough anyway.
Man, that's crazy. Not only you have to fight the raid boss, you actually have to fight the game. That's insane. You have to find, like, in the commands, okay, I'm getting Lua command, guys, type the thing. Okay, you ping the boss, I'm writing a command, and it's like you hackering, like tinkering and doing hackerman stuff against Blizzard. It's crazy. You know? Actually, that's kind of immersive. They might add it as an official feature.
Because their cheap and readily available mana food actually got stealth worked to only restore health. Bit fun, bit weird. And the thing is, that's just our experience. PvPers basically can't play the game.
It's Guild Wars 2 after
between
that.
The disconnects and the hunters that are suddenly just no-scoping everybody and taking over Arena. Outlaw and sub-rogues are massively buffed with a new talent, but it leaves a smokescreen that makes seeing ground effects much harder for the entire group. And it's also broken. Their main cooldown proc the smoke, but only if they have 30 energy free. If they don't, they lose the effect. Now, that could be fine, that could be a mechanic, just that none of this is actually documented, and it doesn't appear to be intended either, because it's actually hooked up to also use another ability called Distract that costs 30 energy at the same time. So basically, they cobble that thing together on the back end real quick, and it just went live the way that it did.
Fantastic.
But hey, all of this will be fixed eventually, right?
Of course.
Yeah, sure.
Of course.
But the damage is already done, and I think it's far more insidious than the majority of people know.
I mean, it's literally insidious. No, wait, it's actually malicious to take not only subscription fee monthly for this game, but also like you have the audacity to take a base, how do you call it? Like payment for the game, like base purchase. You have to purchase the game, and on top of that, you have monthly subscription, and then you have a cash shop, and the cash shop works absolutely fine and dandy. You just click that button, immediately it opens up. It is so wonderful to see where Blizzard priorities truly lie. It's just wonderful. And honestly, they should be held accountable. You should not be able to ship a game in this state. But unfortunately, this will always go unregulated because people just choose to pay for it and nobody really cares because it's video games, right?
You'll often hear a phrase, exploit early, exploit often. You hear it a lot, and actually,
that's the entire WoW community.
Another instance of that being correct. You see, Blizzard has now fixed the problem where the bonus roll bad luck protection for dupes wasn't working. They explained how it happened, and they did so in this nice big old post where they revealed that it's pretty much what we all suspected, that the live game environment is very different to their testing environment, and that difference led to them storing the list of already rolled loot in the wrong database. So it worked in testing, but didn't work as intended on
How
live.
didn't I think about that?
If you were impacted by the bug, good news. You actually got free loot.
Of course.
You see, over the next few days, their refund.
Thank you, Blizzard. You gave me something for free. Even though you didn't intend to. Thank you. I like you. I mean, great. Absolutely fantastic. And I mean, again, it's one of the plenty of examples you have that Blizzard is incapable on a technical level. Okay, I'm not talking creativity here. Obviously, that was like, whoop, that's gone off the window a long time ago. But just on a very technical level, they cannot pull off anything anymore. And that's crazy. You can just tell.
Any void cores used before the bug fix happened.
Should be illegal to charge money for such a broken product. I know.
GG, you'll get to keep it, and you'll get a bonus roll. Now that's an okay fix, but it's an example of Blizzard having no philosophy for how to handle issues. This time, it's free bonus loot, but not for the people.
No, the philosophy is adding another plushie to the shop. Like, that's it. That's their philosophy. Their philosophy is indoctrinating you into donating to some sort of a charity you never heard of in your life. That's their entire, like, dogma. It is what it is, man. Like, you can't challenge this, because Blizzard right now is a cult. And if you go against them, you will be ostracized. I know, because each time I make a video criticizing World of Warcraft, I get a ton of people in my comment section going rabid and telling me, oh, Midnight is the best. Oh, so many players. Yeah, dude, with all the bots inside, of course. Imagine waiting 30 minutes for a BG and telling me the game is filled with life. Yeah, true, King. Keep telling that to yourself while you look in the mirror.
Who actively decided to be, good Warcraft citizens and avoid the bug. A little bit weird, right? But what's weirder is that sometimes Blizzard punishes people who act early. Sometimes you can say abuse renown bugs and just get away with it. Now, players are being rewarded for playing fast and loose with the system. Now,
yeah, because they gave up.
Candor.
They just gave up.
To read, but it's a rushed response that creates a bit of a schism in player reactions. Because man, us Homo sapiens, we are hardwired to get really angry over issues of fairness. That's something every game developer has got to watch out for. But let's get to the heart of that issue and talk about the difference between the test environment and the live environment. Blizzard ended that post saying this.
To be fair, their gear is going to be irrelevant the next patch anyway, so I guess we have that, right?
Quote, we apologize
No need to get
for all
mad.
of this. While it provided us with a better understanding of a potential design pitfall that we will ensure we avoid in the future, we regret disrupting the game for you. Thank you for your passionate feedback the last couple of days. We really appreciate it. Well, what can I say? You're welcome. Okay, now look, I'm not going to pretend that I know all of the in and outs of what running WoW is like. A game like this is extremely complex, but it does...
I don't care. I literally could not care less. Dude, okay, let me make this absolutely clear. I don't care that MMORPGs are the most inefficient thing in the world. I don't care they're hard to maintain. I do not care they're hard to make. I literally could not care less. You are committed to making World of Warcraft good. You, Blizzard, are not a small indie company. You are a multi-billion-dollar company. You have a responsibility to keep the game good and make it good, okay? You have that responsibility. I don't care how difficult it is for a developer to nitpick all the bugs and the game-breaking stuff inside of the game. I literally could not give less of a damn, okay? I really just wanted to make that simple. It's your job. Do it. Pay someone to do it. I really don't care.
Seem like those differences are something that you should now probably be aware of. I mean, not knowing where your data is actually going to be saved does...
Yeah, you're absolutely right, Barbara, especially when they're charging so much money from the player. Like, they deserve a good product for what they're paying.
Scream to me like a pretty major red flag. And they've had a bunch of issues that seem to fall under this same category. Like, as an example, the wrong transmog colors on the warband screen that still is not fixed. There's the art bar showing up again. Maybe that's an issue of how edit mode data is stored. Then, of course, there's the damage meter and death recaps that have been doing really weird things lately too. Like, as an example, telling all of our raiders that our Blood Death Knight's Purgatory is what killed them. So, yeah. Screw you, it's your fault, you cast the wrong spell. Now, all of these bugs range from annoying to kind of game-breaking.
Yeah.
The problem is that every single patch is now expected by all of us to break. We basically on this channel now warn people against playing on patch day. So when Ian says they're not compromising, it's honestly hard to not take it as him brazenly lying. Because we know how buggy these patches are.
No, they're not compromising on giving you like a mediocre product. That's it. Well, no, wait, I called WoW mediocre. Sorry, I meant subpar. So yeah.
He definitely knows how buggy these patches are. He's the goddamn game director. I'm sure he has some big old dashboard he can pull up that on patch day probably makes him feel quite sad. And look, on a man-to-man level, I do empathize. Dude's got a hard goddamn job and a lot of responsibility. But the thing is, they keep saying they'll improve their processes, and it does just look to us like it's all getting worse. And there's one big potential reason for this. The 8-week patch cadence. Releasing a build every 2 months is clearly too much. It is too much for their server team to handle, it's too much for the live team to firefight and to problem solve, and too much for the designers and developers to release bug-free, typo-free work that is actually good.
So hire more people. Wow, like what are we even talking about, man? Like, why are we giving any inch of leniency to a multi-billion-dollar company? Like, I just hate that this defense line of, oh, they don't have time, they don't have this. So I don't know, make more time or just hire more people. It's so easy. Like, why Blizzard is trying to cut cost at our expense, and why the hell are we keep funding this? It's so idiotic, dude. I literally can't with these type of people. I already said it before. I literally could not care less that the game is bad. Just make it good. I shouldn't know everything about game development to understand your feelings better when you're making my game crap. Just make it good. It's your responsibility, not mine.
Is really the thing that matters. Because if I'm honest with you here, these bugs are not even what worry me. They're not the main thing I'm concerned about. They are bad, but at least most of them will get fixed, probably within a week. What worries me, maybe even angers me, is that the game's quality is suffering as well. The speed at which these developers have got to work, despite what Ian says about, quote, a marathon, not a sprint, just is not working. In February, he told the game business that there are, quote, no corners cut in the 8-week pace. That is clearly not true. Last year, he said something that I do believe, though, and that is that they aren't, quote, consciously compromising quality. I'm willing to believe him in that. I'm willing to believe that their plan does not consciously compromise quality, but the problem is the gap between their plan and what they can do. Something that we actually call the execution gap. And that's basically Blizzard's biggest problem. And that's why this is actually worse than most people think.
Really? It can get even lower than that?
Compromise is not always a conscious thing. Sometimes it happens without you noticing. And you know what? As I go through this segment, I think we can all hold up a bit of a mirror to ourselves in our own personal lives and think about all the little areas where we may have compromised. But getting back to WoW, here's an example. If you like doing the new rich...
No, I won't do any single parallel to my real life. It's a company. They have multiple people, numerous people working on the same goddamn game. Like, just give me a good product.
Sites or
I'm not going to repeat this anymore.
Of field accolades. Those will let you buy the new transmog set, or, of course, you could also spend them on champion or even hero gear. Yeah, player power and cosmetics are sharing a single currency. That's generally considered to be a mistake, and it's one that Blizzard have avoided for the last while. And they have, by the way, improved things greatly since the earlier days of the PTR. But still, while I understand the logic behind what they're doing here, it is still a bit of a sacrifice. Except, of course, that WoW has found tons of success moving towards cosmetic-only currencies as a thing.
Wow.
And we have one in the game, the Voidlight Marl. And
crazy. It's like almost anybody who stayed within World of Warcraft retail, who survived the onslaught of absolute miasma and cringe, are the whales that are too addicted to just quit. What a surprising thing to hear. It's insane. I wonder why we got Heartsteel as the newest feature in WoW Midnight. I truly wonder why we got another form of paid real-life money currency inside of our game. Like, it's not like we had enough. We needed one more. Yeah, if only there was a currency already in the game that you could use for cosmetics. Exactly. Exactly. I wonder, you know, if they would add it, like, they can call it like gold or something. That would be huge. That would be huge. But for now, we have WoW tokens, so it's fine.
It feels better because players don't like making the decision between the thing that they want, the transmog, and the thing that they feel they need, the player power, the gear. So that's one thing. But another lesson that WoW has learned is that players like determinism. You see, for the last few years, cosmetics have either been random drops from content or things that you just went and earned. Vendors have been offering sets and individual pieces for a flat price for ages. But that suddenly stopped, because the accolades are basically blind boxes. You get a chance at the item that you want, and a low enough chance. You see, what they are these void-touched recolors of the Anniversary Tier 2 sets. Loads of them look sweet, but the thing is, it means you've got a 1 in 13 chance of getting the item that you want. Now, thankfully, you can't get any dupes, so you are guaranteed to get what you want eventually. You'll just have to farm out a lot of accolades.
I'm not even joking. They need to start removing all of these systems from the game, man. It's just way too much. I'm sorry. It's way too much. It's way too much. The game has way too many currencies. The game has way too many boxes. The game has way too many NPCs you need to speak with. So many contrived systems that needs to be removed ASAP. Like, oh, okay, so you have this system and you purchase the box with that currency, and then this box can drop you 1 in 13 chance of an item you like, but there is no dupes. Guys, it's so much to remember. Enough. Enough. Just make items items. Make items drop from a boss. Make items attainable within a crafting system. Enough with this. Like, we had too much of that. Too much of that.
And burn through a lot of Voidlight Marl to get it all. You'll also have to throw a bunch of time and clicks into it because the actual experience of opening those goddamn boxes is a nightmare. That's because it's a 6-step process. You have to click to that.
I haven't pre-watched the video. It's common sense. Like, players aren't supposed to learn how to act inside of a 7 different systems game. You shouldn't do that. It shouldn't be that complex. And the problem about all of these systems is, yeah, you have so many of those and they are confusing, but it's just sensory overload. It's nothing more than that, because once you do understand the system, it's so easy, and it's just dumb, because it confuses the hell out of new players, and it just makes returning players such as myself to never touch the game again. Like, once my subscription runs out, I'm out. I'm out. Like, enough is enough. It's garbage. I'm not gonna touch this game for 8 more years until I want to laugh at it again.
Enter, buy the item, hit confirm, open your bag, open the bag, then learn the individual item. And then you gotta just do it all over again. 13 times a slot. Now, you can't buy the boxes or the sets in bulk. And look, there's probably a good reason for that. The game checks to see if you have, eligible drops left before letting you buy. That's fair enough. But that doesn't change the fact that the basic ergonomics of this is a terrible experience for a player. And that kind of thing matters. And that's what leads me to the real thing I want to ram home. This is all the signs of something the developers did.
And if you want to know how how important that is, look at Where Winds Meet. This is a game that I currently play. It's such a fantastic game, but I heard countless people that said their frustration about that game and why they don't play it is because of the menu system. The menu system in Where Winds Meet is the most horrible thing I've ever seen in my entire life. Now, I actually took the time to learn it from scratch because I really enjoy the game, and now I'm rewarded for it, right? Because I get to play a game that I really enjoy. But so many new players that are missing out on this incredible experience simply because the menus are so complex. And Blizzard is about to suffer the exact same thing. They already are suffering, but it's just going to be exasperated. Because Blizzard isn't capable of making anything simple anymore. They think everyone, oh, just learn it. You should know this by now. Yeah, like, you didn't learn it the previous patch? Oh, shame on you, boo-boo. Enjoy getting lost. And of course, you're not even being able to ask veteran players for help, because each time you try to speak with a WoW player, they just flame you and being toxic because you're nobody and nobody cares about you. At least that's what they told me, It's kind of, it is what it is. They just tell you, the nice ones just tells you to check a guide, and that's it.
Not have time to think about. They probably made it, tested it that it works, and then had to ship it. It is very much a first draft looking system. Now, with time to make a second draft, they could have noticed
it looks like it works. Okay, ship it.
Some fixes,
it's fine.
Like full set boxes. They could have remembered that this gacha-like blind box system hasn't been used in ages, and for good reason. WoW has moved away from the excitement of gambling for cosmetics, and for good reason. Yeah,
it went from excitement of gambling to shore gambling. I mean, that's a progress, sure.
Again, accidentally repeating mistakes
just give us the money
and
enough.
Forgetting lessons that they've learned. That tells me that institutional knowledge is walking out the door. That's quite worrying. Now, another example of this is the Void Assaults. There's nothing really wrong with them, but there's so much low-hanging fruit that the devs just did not seem to be able to reach for. Here's a great example. One of Midnight's quirks is that leveling alts is actually kind of boring. The fastest source of XP is just to clear each delve quest once and then do the campaign and some side quests again. To go fast,
just
you just
pay
have
for
to
the boost.
Zoom through the same thing
Problemo
over
solved.
again. Now, the Void Assault feature could have helped a lot here. You can do them below level 90. They give you XP, but it's really barely any XP. And worse yet, they don't give you field accolades below level 90. So if you're trying to spice up your leveling by doing those, it doesn't feel great at all, does it? Now, if Blizzard had the time to, think and come up with solutions to community problems that aren't just pre-planned content drops, then
they would have made the game better. But no, it's not they don't have time. They lack the talent. And yeah, that's just how the game looks like. It is what it is, man. It's in such a dire state. Nothing about retail WoW is good except for raiding and Mythic Plus. And even Mythic Plus, it's just like being taken way over the edge. It has its own problems. But just raiding is good now and nothing else. It's crazy how people still play this game. But again, this is pure addiction. Nobody, listen, I'm of sound mind, okay, when I say this. Nobody actually likes retail WoW. They're just addicted and there's no alternative. I always said that and I truly believe so. Even some few rabid WoW players attack me in the comments every time I make a video such as this telling me, oh, it's the best game ever. they're addicted. There's not even a single reason for me to try and speak logic to them because they're too far gone. You literally cannot tell them anything about WoW or Blizzard without them losing their mind. So there's nothing to say here. But again, so many of you guys in the comments have told me that, like, it's true. You're just addicted and you can't quit, but the game sucks balls. And clearly, you can tell. There's no salvaging this. It's just garbage. This entire game needs to be nuked and rebuilt from the ground up. They just need to change everything. There's not a single system outside of raiding and half of Mythic Plus that I would have kept inside of the game. Every single thing is bad. The new player experience, the leveling, the story, like all of that systems, gearing, the entire process is such a harrowing thing to go through. Nobody wants to do that. And that's why World of Warcraft is hemorrhaging. That's why nobody plays the game. No matter how much Blizzard inflates their numbers with bots, I'm never going to believe that this game is heavily populated. Never. As long as people waiting 30 minutes for BGs and Mythic Plus, you're not going to convince me that this game is popular.
They might have seen the opportunity here. Maybe increase the XP.
I mean, it is popular, but not to that extent.
Of full speed questing, and maybe make sure that the accolades drop for characters at level 80 plus. Because that could be a new way to level up your character and get a bunch of cool rewards that matter for the endgame while you do it. That would feel brilliant. Suddenly, people would have stacking reasons to play the game. Now, yeah, you could be cynical about it and say it's just the new flavor of mindless fill-the-bar event stuff. But look, let people level through it, and I can guarantee you'll have players keeping each strike and each incursion populated for weeks, which is good for the health of the game. But by prioritizing quantity over quality, Blizzard are accidentally, but obviously, making huge compromises with the quality of the game. They're leaving so much on the table, and in ways they aren't even focused enough to notice. All because they've got to move on to whatever the next thing is, instead of reflecting. But hey, at least they've responded, so let's hop into the response.
Ooh, wait. They actually said something.
Themselves. The first line is pretty direct. It says the 12.05 patch launch was not up to our standards, and we know this disrupted your time and caused justified frustration.
The classic.
Before I continue with the things that are planned for me to say in this video, I'm just going to go off piste and ad-lib a little thing, because actually my response to that quote is, Q, I basically think you're lying. Your standards are they've been for years.
Finally!
Get your together and have some accountability.
Oh
like,
my
seriously,
God.
Yes!
Thank you. Oh, thank you, God. We reached the day when Bellular actually snapped. Thank you. I'm sure his next video isn't about to be, oh, Blizzard done a really great feature. Like, I'm sure it's not going to be the case. But yeah, you know what? It's refreshing to hear. From time to time, it's good to hear Bellular speaks his mind. You can clearly tell he's being careful here. It is what it is. At the end of the day, he's kind of in cahoots with Blizzard. He has interviews with them and all that stuff. So I do understand, but yeah, it's nice to hear every once in a while. Wait, the problem is that the only way to actually fix the older system and either update or compress them require an actual competent developer team. I know, that's what I always say. And they don't want to invest the resources to do so. That's the unfortunate part. Because you can easily make WoW great. Easily. Just nuke retail and nuke classic and do classic plus, and everyone is going to be on it. Just unite the game. Take like Season of Discovery, Mr. Pandaria, Classic, TBC, whatever is up and running right now. Nuke them and make Classic Plus the new standard. Because not only you're going to mend the schism between the player base and actually bring them together instead of creating a split, you're gonna make an experience that is in line with everyone values. You can take the great things from retail, which is, you know, just rating and Mythic Plus, and you can take all the great feature from Classic and combine them. And of course, retail new engine, which performs really well, in my opinion. So you can take all of that, create a new standard, but again, they would never do that. Never. So, let's see. What standard? Exactly. Mythic Plus and raids are fun when your class gets taken. Exactly. I forgot about being ostracized for not playing the correct class.
Dragonflight's minor patches were really ropey. The War Within's minor patches were really, really, really ropey. To the point we had full features like
it was like that from
Draenor that were completely broken for like a week. And by the time Blizzard actually got them to a good state, they were depopulated. The damage was done. So whenever Blizzard says the patch launch was not up to our standards, I say, well, where are your standards? I have not goddamn seen them.
Damn.
I mean, to be a standard, it has to be consistent. So you can't just point to, oh, well, you know, the Koresh patch.
Well, they were consistent. They were giving you garbage. I mean, you thought Shadowlands was good? You thought the War Within was good? Nobody thought that. So, as far as I can see it, they're being pretty consistent.
And fairly well. And say, oh, that's our standard. That's what a good patch looks like. No, your standard is what your standard is. And that standard has been a goddamn mess, especially for minor patches. Here's the thing, I'm not saying this to beat devs, to bludgeon devs. I actually think that the devs are the prime victims here. I mean, can you imagine getting into game development for the sheer love of the game and being forced to ship subpar quality that frustrates the players you are trying to serve, that undercuts the hard work you are doing, that undercuts your designs, such that you get things like, Dynamic Duos, Dastardly Duos, whatever it was called, back in the last expansion, that whenever we sat down and kind of analyzed the design side of things, we just thought, oh, you know what, I can actually see how they were cooking.
Imagine designing a really cool raid encounter or a dungeon just to be called a milk drinker. That's crazy. But I mean, to be fair, if you entered Blizzard Entertainment, you kind of brought that curse upon yourself. Because getting into Blizzard, I mean, getting the, oh, you've been accepted into Blizzard Entertainment letter, it's such a bad omen. You should have immediately dropped everything and moved out of the country.
Not that any player really felt that, because it was still half-baked by the time that it came out. And so look, Ian, Holly, I mean, I know we've only done some interviews with each other. I know that's not like an IRL friendship, but I will say, I like you guys. You're fun to talk to. You're warm. You're nice. I'm not saying this to mess yous around, but I just don't believe this. I mean, whenever I see the 12.05 patch launch was not up to our standards, guys, the 12.05 launch is your standard.
It's fine. We'll fix the chat later. I'm back now.
Preference and revealed preference. This is not up to your stated standards, but it is absolutely in line with your revealed standards. But I'll continue with their message and I'll go back on script. Okay, the message then goes on about how they're working around the clock to sort things out. I totally believe that. I mean, not least for the fact that that message was posted at about 8 p.m. on a Thursday in California. That's not super late, but it is out of hours. Anyway, the real meat comes after that. They say they're, quote, taking lessons learned to stop this sort of thing from happening again. Of course they are. But the question is if they can actually do that well enough. They say they'll work harder to communicate openly, early, and often in cases like these. And yeah, in cases like these, all it takes is an acknowledgement to ease player fears.
But they've said the exact same thing for years at this point. Nobody believes them. Nobody takes their word for it. It's the same cycle over and over again. Like, I don't know why people keep getting away with this. It's insane. Like, again, I think Blizzard completely taking advantage over the fact that they have a captive audience. Like, they just have prisoners. They don't have players.
Look, we kind of know the game's going to have bugs. It's a 20-year-old game with an enormous team working on it. But the part that pushes users away is pretending that everything is fine. And I know that Blizzard's response post is absolutely not doing that. But through years of patches that have been similarly bugged to this one, they kind of have just not really acknowledged it properly. I mean, saying, quote, no corners cut to a journalist, 3 months ago, that's wishful thinking at best, and ignoring reality at worst. I think Ian would be surprised how far a little honesty goes compared to meeting promises that we know they mean, but that we also know they're obviously not able to keep. And the post ends in a way I'm not too sure I like. It says, quote, we care deeply about this game, and we play it right alongside you. We will do better. Thanks for sticking with us, the World of Warcraft team. Now, don't get me wrong.
If you played it alongside us, you wouldn't have done the entire Darkspell troll cringe death thing. Like, nobody wanted that. Nobody cared about it inside of the game. You just did it to make yourself look good and look better. You just did it to virtue signal off our backs, and you did it at the expense of the most, like, oh man, I really don't want to go on a tirade again, but you did this on the expense of the most masculine thing inside of the game, the average Horde player. So shame on you, Blizzard. You filtered me for good, but shame on you.
Whoever wrote that definitely meant it. Anyone working in game development is there with passion. Seriously, if you just want dollar, you can go to many other industries.
But what, to be fair, those people are probably the people who spend the most amount of money. You are mistaken. It's just because those people don't care enough, Blizzard is being able to do that. They just want to keep face. It's all for optics. Nobody really cares. Nobody have. Like, literally nobody. It's just annoying. The whales, they're already far gone. You need to understand. The whales are like, how do I explain it? They're like NPCs. They don't think, okay? They just consume. And Blizzard do well to take advantage of that.
No, whenever people go to game dev, honestly, it is to do, like, what we all love, right? I know they love the game. I will never doubt that. But I don't like it in this context, because it forgets what our relationship is. I wish I could live in a world where it was us and the developers. But that's just not true. We pay Blizzard Entertainment for a product. One that people in 3 regions were sharply reminded of this week, because the same day the patch went out, Blizzard announced regional price increases.
What?
For no specific reason, just sort of market
The specific reason was we want more money.
conditions, and that means that WoW is more expensive for some.
Of course.
In the UK, it is...
The digital game that is heavily monetized is very difficult for me to maintain, so I need to increase prices so I can get another yacht. That I can make your experience better. Apologies.
up from £10 a month to £11 in Kazakhstan, Georgia, Turkey, Mexico, Chile, and Brazil. Well, they're also getting price hikes, and in Brazil, it specifically stings.
Come on, man.
They were hit with a massive 35% increase. And the Brazilian servers, I believe, are in
What?
Miami. Servers aren't in Brazil. Their region
Bro, what? That's nasty. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I kind of respect the hustle. To be this evil is admirable. This is some Disney villain level type of shit. That is crazy. You gotta give them credit for that. Absolutely insane. The servers aren't even in Brazil and they actually making the prices higher. Oh my god, dude. What the hell is going on?
is forced to play in servers located in the US with 150 plus ping. That's wild. The price rise is a can of worms for another time, but the point is here, we are not Blizzard's friends.
That's
We are
next
Blizzard's
level.
Customers. Now look, I have compassion for them trying their hardest, but at the end of the day, they have to provide a game that is worth paying for. And what I hate is when the needs of the corporate entity get in the way of that. And
He
when
said
it
that.
breaks up the relationship between players and developers. That's what I think is really going on here. Because if we did not have this insane 8-week patch cycle, then maybe the developers would get enough time to actually ship work that they're proud of, that they can stand behind, and that I guess they, don't have to go to bed the night before patch day, terrified of how the thing's going to blow up and how the next 4 or 5 work days, maybe working the weekend, whatever,
Yeah.
is just
Imagine
gonna be a
having
massive
compassion
nightmare.
for a
Because their
multi-dollar
company,
company.
once again,
Exactly.
has forced them to ship that is not, just isn't ready. And we know it's not ready because so many of these bugs are documented on PTR for a long, long ass time. And it hurts all the more because they really are trying. And Midnight has got so many great things. It really does. I mean, hell, even the ritual sites. Man, I think those are awesome. They remind me of doing a quest, like back in the day, on a newbie character where I had to worry about patrol paths and stuff. It's
Crazy.
great. Now, obviously, writing issues, that's maybe something we can talk about, a little later. But if we ignore the writing issues, Midnight has been
Yes.
more or less fun.
If we ignore the most important aspect of an MMORPG, which is the world fantasy, maybe we can put it to the side and then the game kinda becomes mediocre. Great. Yeah, no, Chief, I'm not gonna do that. The story is garbage and it ruined World of Warcraft experience for me and everyone else. And if you think that the story doesn't affect anything, if you think that I haven't read all the quests, therefore I don't care about the story, you are dumb, okay? And you're wrong. Because it's not about the story being presented to you at every single corner. It's you being part of it. You used to build your own story inside of World of Warcraft because you didn't have to do all the quests. You could have done whatever you wanted to do. And even if you didn't read a single quest and just went from marker to marker, you still understood the story based on what you were doing. And that's what WoW is missing nowadays. And that is the feature that is, I think, solidifies the MMORPG experience, especially the RPG part, which is as crucial and integral to the game as the MMO part.
Fantastic in a bunch of ways, except for these cracks showing in the very first patch. So Blizzard Entertainment, wing of the Xbox division of Microsoft, really need to ask themselves something. How sustainable is this release cadence? What levers can they pull to stop every patch getting closer and closer to just actively making the game worse? We'll just have to see. It's a frustrating situation, and we won't really know how this stuff's going to go until more patches come out. It does at least seem this has been escalated to the highest levels and they are taking it seriously. A response this direct is actually unprecedented, which is, by the way, a really...
If you think that the higher-ups at Blizzard actually cares about World of Warcraft or any of that game, you're stupid. Like, you're delusional. I'm sorry. You need to be institutionalized. Blizzard higher-ups do not care about anything except the shareholders and their next quarterly update. That is all. All they care about is seeing a graph go like this, and that's it. They literally do not know anything about WoW. Anything.
Disappointing thing, because they should have been apologizing for, I don't know, about half of the patches that have came out since Dragonflight. You know, they should be apologizing for the launch quality. You know, those sorts of issues. Some designs actually being broken. So, you know, it's a little bit weird that it took this long, but I'm glad, I guess. And the best way I can put a positive spin in this is that I hope that this has taken them to some form of internal rock bottom. I hope the last few days have been really...
Rock bottom with Shadowlands, and see how that far. Like, it got us. Like, literally nowhere. Absolutely nowhere. Like, Shadowlands was horrendous. I think most of the WoW player community have quit during Shadowlands. Because I played until BFA, I quit during BFA, and I looked at Shadowlands and thought, hey, maybe I would play this, but then I actually looked at the expansion after launch, and I went like, hell no. And that's it. I think Shadowlands probably filtered most of the WoW community.
Horrible and painful, because you know what? Sometimes you need to hit rock bottom to actually make improvements. And I'm sure that's something...
No, when Blizzard reaches rock bottom, they just keep digging. They make it even lower.
That we've all
it's like the Diablo phase, like the first Diablo game, where you only go down until you literally reach the deepest chasm of hell. Okay, that's what Blizzard is doing. Right now, I'd say they're at level 6. Maybe they'll reach level 13 and they can fight Diablo.
Kind of felt in our own life, you know? You keep making compromises, you get less and less happy, you kind of hit rock bottom, and it's from hitting rock bottom that you're able to assess, what the hell am I doing with all of this? And then move on in a positive way with proper conviction. That's what they need to do. And I hope this is rock bottom, because there's nothing that will hurt someone's ability to go into work, give a and make brilliant stuff in situations like this, undercutting them. And I am more concerned for the developers than the actual players. Because look, to each of us, so what? Maybe we'll regret spending a few quid. Right. But to the devs, this is their goddamn career. This is what they've specialized in, right? And for many of them, they're probably working on a dream game. And I know on the grapevine of so many instances where people have got there and really found
I don't care. Again, I don't care. Just give us a good product. I literally couldn't care less.
Depressing, etc., etc. The thing that I really worry about then is team quality, team health, and there's an insidious thing here. The jobs market within games is in such a dire state right now. And of course, over in tech, we're seeing, I mean, just about everybody do a 10% cut. So the job market is absolutely flooded with people. That means that if you're in a job, you're probably not going to want to leave that job. Now, that's actually kind of rough. You may hear people talk about, you know, in a team, you might have your A players, your B players, and your C players. Now, the thing is, if you don't fire your C players, if you don't get rid of them, well, they'll turn your B players into more C players. And if you're not able to retain your A players, then who's going to raise up the B players into being A players, right? So the thing that's worrying to me is that team health could degrade and degrade and degrade over time.
Absolutely.
But
I think
they
he's
would
actually right
still
about that.
seem really good.
I think Blizzard development team do lack leadership. I think he's absolutely right about that. And I spoke about it in like a previous video. I think the developers at Blizzard right now are only incompetent because there is no one to guide them. Because making World of Warcraft initially was, you know, quote unquote, the easiest thing to do, right? It was because it's always easier to build a game from scratch and figure out things along the way. But now WoW reached a point where on a technical level, it's marvelous, right? I really like the WoW engine. Now, obviously, all the bugs and that aside, on a very technical level, the things you can do inside of World of Warcraft are way more impressive than what you could have done with Classic back in the day. And Classic was built with a lot of newbies. So, and it was still a huge success, but it had a ton of issues inside of it. So now you bring in new people inside of a game who already established itself and already has a pretty good running engine, and it's very difficult for them to integrate inside of that system because they have no one to guide them. So they kind of learn on the fly and they make a lot of mistakes. And I do understand that. Nothing Bellular says here is genuine, not for a second. I think he believes anything he's saying about the quality. I think he's actually being really genuine here, but the problem is that he can't keep face for that long. Because he's always showing his true side for one video and immediately show for Blizzard on the next one because he, you know, at the end of the day, it's his work. It's his job, right? That's how he earns his money. I understand that. This is a dream job and people want to cling onto it as much as they can. So I'm not going to blame anyone like grifting for views. I do get it. I will never do it myself, but I understand it. I don't agree with it, but I understand it. They're blaming us, not what they're dear to their product. Absolutely. Absolutely agree. They so strongly believe they're right, and the only reason this wasn't accepted is that they need to double down on the war against the player base. True. Absolutely true. Facts.
Team retention numbers, because quite literally in today's job market, people don't actually have a better place to go. And that could be damaging to the game for extremely obvious goddamn reasons. I was in a leadership position in and around Blizzard. I would be terrified of this specific problem, and I would not trust any employee retention data that I see, because in so many cases, even if they're unhappy with their job at Blizzard, and they're unhappy that they have to consistently ship buggy patches, or that their pet feature that they really enjoyed making just, you know, broke, or whatever it is, well, they may not have a choice but to stay at the company. We all know that that's a very, very unhealthy thing. So, I don't know. Ian, Holly, Co, people making decisions, don't trust your retention numbers. And remember that while the double-blind, placebo-controlled whatever test is like the best type of, science whatever you can get, and we shouldn't put all of our stock into anecdotes. See, in a case like this, believe the anecdotes. Because by the time it shows up in whatever data you see, it will be history, and you will have already borne the cost of that history. That is it for this video. This build needs to stop. It really does. And you know what? If it does stop, we could be going into a bit of a golden age for World of Warcraft as a gameplay experience.
No, we go on a golden age with World of Warcraft whenever you fire all of the wine moms and labubu millennials that hijack the company. Only then you would have the slightest chance to make this game great again. But until then, I guess we're off to the races. It is what it is, man. We're gonna have to wait until the Riot MMO takes over. It's going to be so good, man. I'm gonna force my grandchildren to heal me.